When you think of World War II, what comes to mind? The beaches of Normandy, the sands of North Africa, random islands scattered throughout the Pacific Ocean? I'll bet one place you don't think of is the Jersey Shore. But that's exactly where one of the most costly defeats in the history of American warfare occurred. 70 years ago, the waters off the East Coast lit up, where German naval forces launched a campaign against American shipping called Operation Drumbeat.
Although few people have heard about it, Operation Drumbeat, it's the campaign of German submarines against shipping off the U.S. East Coast in 1942. Well, the name was coined by the commanding officer of the German submarine fleet, a guy named Karl Dönitz, and it's a code name. The German version of it, Operation Paukenschlag, sounds a little bit more dramatic. There's no particular meaning other than the commencement, the beginning, the beat of drums. It's the campaign of German submarines against shipping off the U.S. East Coast in 1942. Well, Dönitz had a strategy that was directed primarily at the carrying capacity of the Allied shipping fleet. And his idea was that he would maximize the sinking of Allied ships wherever he could find them. So he tracked the volume of Allied shipping that was sunk against the areas in which his submarines were deployed. They would put them in choke points of trade off Cape Cod, in Long Island Sound, in the Florida Straits, and allow the submariners basically to engage targets of opportunity. It's a very loose pack operation with no coordination on site. It's just kind of a free-for-all. The kind of vessels the Germans were after were naturally the biggest ones, then invariably those were oil tankers. The thing that really stunned the Germans was that the U.S. East Coast continued to operate under peacetime conditions. The lights of Atlantic City, New Jersey, and the other tourist spots along the coast remained on. It was possible for people to stand on the beach and have a little swim and watch a ship be torpedoed and have a sandwich and go home. In some cases, it meant that ships that were actually traveling under blackout conditions could be seen from seaward by German submariners simply because their blackened silhouette stood out against the lights of the city on the horizon. Simple unpreparedness along the U.S. coast and kind of an incredulity to think that the war would come and be that should somehow upset normal life along the coast. And so it took a long time to actually shut things down. The simple fact is it's the first time that the shooting war actually comes to the mainland of the United States. Yes, Hawaii was attacked and there's a Japanese attack on the Aleutians, but this doesn't happen thousands of miles away. This happens off the coasts of New Jersey. Operation Drumbeat also provides the Germans with a unique opportunity to put agents ashore in the United States. The landing of agents is a total and unmitigated disaster. They put two groups ashore, one on Long Island and one a little bit further south along the Atlantic coast. Both of them are tracked immediately by the FBI. They're captured and very quickly hanged. The impact of Operation Drumbeat took some time to develop. By the summer, when oil supplies started to get low, people began to notice that, and so did the government. It would be interesting to say that Dönitz targeted oil, but that was kind of an inadvertent part of his strategy. In terms of individual households, there was so much shipping lost, and the trade with Latin America was virtually cut off, that America very quickly began to ration sugar and coffee, which would have been noticeable immediately in the homes in the summer of 1942. The losses from Operation Drumbeat were nothing short of catastrophic. Total losses, about 400 ships lost between the beginning of January and the end of July 1942. To give you a sense for what that means in terms of scale, the total losses to all enemy action in the entire Pacific Ocean basin were 25. It's a defeat on a scale unprecedented at sea. So there are two basic theories about why the United States Navy failed to respond effectively to Operation Drumbeat. One of them, and the one that you'll often hear, is that the Navy was simply unprepared. It lacked resources, it got taken by surprise, and as a result of that, it took the Navy 7 months to actually get organized. The other reason is that what would have reduced the losses significantly would have been for the United States Navy to establish a system of escorted convoys immediately when the war started. And the U.S. Navy simply refused to do that. believing that it was the wrong system, that if you put your ships in a convoy, you're simply concentrating the targets. The thing that ultimately drove the Navy to establish a system of convoy was the dramatic impact on domestic oil. It began to have a bit of an impact on war production, and that's where ultimate pressure for the establishment of a system of convoys actually came from. Probably the best way to describe the end of Operation Drumbeat is as a kind of slow and progressive phase out. The United States begins to introduce convoy systems in the spring of 1942, and as that system is extended, the Germans find that their success rate begins to plummet. And so their natural response to that is actually not to attack the convoys until by the end of the summer, and they begin to pull back. So victory over Operation Drumbeat is a prolonged process of denying the enemy an easy target.